Greetings and welcome to another Albion online tutorial. In this one we're going to be taking a look at combat equipment and some basic combat stuff. And so to begin with, let's take a look at the Destiny board. So by the time you clear the tutorial, you should have Trainee Fighter cleared out, which means you now have access to all of the Tier 2 gear in the various classes. So you've got the Mage stuff, so Mage Attack, Cloth Armor, Ranged Attack or Hunter stuff, and then the Leather Armor, Sword and Board, Random Guild Invite, and Plate Armor. Now, getting all the Tier 3 stuff, like unlocking these is not too hard, but we can take a little bit of a shortcut. Something that you'll notice is you'll probably have a number over here on this icon. This is your journal. As you complete these items, you will get rewards. So currently, I have completed 3 of them. I have sold an item to the marketplace, I have refined at least 30 Tier 2 resources, and I have gone to a royal city. In other words, in the marketplace video, I ran over to Martlock. You might have more of these completed, depending on how much you've been doing with the various in-game tutorial systems. You will want to claim these. Specifically, you are going to want to have... Let me switch it back here to completed. The 2 Journeyman Tomes. And yeah, the Novice Tome is okay, but you're going to want the 2 Journeyman Tomes. If somehow you don't have the refining one yet, a couple of ways you can get that. You can just pop out into one of the adjacent maps and do some quick gathering and refining. Also, for the cross areas, all of the refining things have like 2 nodes nearby that you can use to harvest. Now, these really aren't intended for you to do intensive harvesting on. There's only the 2 nodes. These are shared with everybody else on the map, and they have standard respawn timers. So it's just more of a emergency type operation than anything else. But if you just need a few more quick harvests to finish off that one particular journal entry, then go for it. And the reason why we're going to do that, with my 3 different armor types equipped, I am going to use one of the 5K tomes here. Just one. And that is going to unlock my cloth, leather, and plate fighter items or skills on the Destiny board here. And so now I have access to Tier 3 and all 3 categories of armor, so I've got the maximum flexibility for setting up my build. I also happen to get the Journeyman Mage completed as well. Now I've got one more tome that I can use for 5K, so you can choose whether you want to do a sword and board or if you want to do the archery. I'm going to do the sword and board. A couple ways you could do this. You could craft a Tier 2 broadsword, which you probably have the resources to do that, or you can go out and buy one probably for fairly cheap. So let's just nip on over to the market. And yeah, I can buy a Tier 2 Novice Broadsword for 119 silver. We'll make that back nearly instantly with 1 dungeon run. So I'm going to buy that.
Come again.
Make sure it's equipped. And then I'm also going to want to get the shield. So come over here. Offhand shield. 23. Oh yeah, break the bank right there.
Deal.
And again, chances are you would probably have the equipment to, or the resources to craft these, but I sold off all of my raw resources to have a little bit of extra money. And so that's why I've got to buy it. So now with the sword and board equipped, I'm going to use my other 5K book Also giving me some level ups in my main class skills, or the main class levels. So again, if I come over here and look, I can see that I have now completed Journeyman Adventurer. Now we're working on Adept Adventurer, which we're going to need for the crafting and gathering video. And I now have Tier 3 unlocks in everything except for ranged. Nothing against ranged, it's just, I don't know, I prefer sword and board stuff. So now coming down here and look, I can see that I've got a variety of Tier 3 weapons. I've got the broadsword, the battle axe, the mace, hammer, gloves, crossbow, and shield. Just because it amuses me, I'm going to go ahead and go with the brawler gloves. So, how do you build a character? Well, you just take a look at the various armors that you have available to you. What are their skills? What are the weapons? And just kind of try and customize it. So if I look here, it's like, you know, Journeyman Jacket has the reflect damage, so I definitely am going to want to stick with that. And once I level up Leather Jacket, I'll get all of these armors unlocked as well. Now, so do I want a cloth hood or do I want a plate hood? Well, if I take a look at the plate helmet, I get energy regain, so it's a channel. I get 2 different channels, or I get a channel and the stone buff. Probably want the stone skin, but I can look at the cloth, see what I get for the Scholar's Cowl. I get a knockback, which, since I'm doing melee, that's probably not going to be very useful. Look at the shoes. I will get a sprint, restore 6 energy for every 1 second, so that also regenerates my energy. Versus, if I come down here to plate, what do I get for boots? I get a sprint that heals, which is pretty useful. So I might actually just go for plate helm, plate shoes, leather jacket, and fists, and see how that works. At the lower level tiers, I wouldn't stress about it too much. The equipment's cheap, the leveling up is easy, experiment around and just see what you gel with. I've never actually tried this build before, so this will be a bit new for me. But I gotta buy stuff, because I can't craft anything yet, or at least I can't craft those things yet. And this is the combat tutorial. So ye old marketplace, let's see what we got. So I'm going to go down to melee, war gloves, no offers, oh my. Oh, that's right, because there is no such thing as a tier 2. Ignore my oh my, that was just me being confused. I'm going to say oh my to the price. Apparently not too many people use these, and these things sell for a premium. Oh. Okay, I'm sticking with sword and board for a bit, but I'm going to go ahead and look at the rest of the stuff. So I want plate armor. That's reasonable enough. 620 for tier 3, so we'll go ahead and buy that. And I am going to want plate helmet. Oh, shoot. I wanted to do leather. I will. Soldier. Now, there is different tiers of quality. So, like, this is a good quality. And this is an outstanding. And item power... Item power is a thing. The higher the number, the better. I could not even begin to explain to you the calculations. But for an extra 5 silver to get an outstanding, sure, why not? I'll buy that one. I did want the plate shoes. Do I have... Let's see here. 310 is the cheapest. If I change it to outstanding, no offers found. Oh, and going all the way up to excellent takes the price up to 3,000. Yeah, no. I'm fine with good. So I'll buy some boots. And then because I'm being very stubborn about it. I want my leather armor. Let's see, do I have enough? Oh, I am down to 469. I will apparently have to stick with the plate armor for the moment. Not a big deal.
My pleasure.
And with all that purchasing, apparently I've completed some more quests. So I come over here. It looks like I can do... oh, I bought a weapon and I bought 5 equipment items. So I claim those. And that gets me 2 Nova Stones, so that gives me another 4,000 XP. Go ahead and equip my tier 3 stuff. Now, I'm not going to use the books quite yet, because I want to have my leather and my gloves. So I'm going to hold off on that for the moment. Now, what to do with your old gear? You can try selling it. Now, in order to sell something, you have to repair it, and repairing does cost money. Is that worth doing for lower tier stuff? Probably not. I mean, it's only going to cost me 28 silver to repair everything in the inventory. So why not? Go ahead and repair it, and I can come over here and I can sell. I'm not going to go into how to set up buy orders. That will be later on when we deal with crafting. So I am just simply going to say, there's my tier 2, so I'm going to sell it. I'll get a whopping 44. Oh well. But a bit of money is a bit of money. Back up to 616. I don't need those 12 copper ore, so I'm just going to sell them for another 161. So, oh, lucky 7s. There we go.
Satisfied?
All right. Now, you never want to forget your skill setup. So as you can see, I've got multiple things that I haven't set my skills up for. So I'm going to come through here. I want stone skin buff. I'll be taking a lot of damage, so I'll go ahead and take Fury on that. I want the healing sprint, so now I've got a heal, damage resist. If I need more heal, I can maybe switch this out for the healing meditation. But this should be good. So I've got my build set up. Where can I go to kill things? 2 places you can go. One is dungeons, and that's the one that I want to take a look at first.
Albion needs
Now
you.
here in the Crosstown, we've only got the 1 tier 3 dungeon. There's plenty more available, but you're going to have to go over to the main city. Now the first dungeon you do every day is going to come with a bonus. When I select this, it tells me every time I clear this dungeon, I'm going to get 1,000 silver, and I will receive, for the first completed expedition, now that is any expedition. It doesn't matter whether it's tier 3, 4, 5, whatever. The first time you do an expedition, you get this reward. So you generally want to do the highest level expedition that you can do first, and then switch over to others if that's what you want to do. It will give you a recommendation for power item. It will actually block you if you don't have this, but you know, if you're above this item power level or at it, you're going to be fine. And you can see that, by the way, if I come into my inventory, my item power is 413, so I should be more than fine for this tier 3. And so with all of that, I am going to hit start, and it's going to take me to a randomly generated dungeon. Just for me. And there's really not any exploration. Well, at least not for these small ones. You can go away. This right-hand panel does get a little bit crowded sometimes. And, well, now it's just to go through and kill everything. So a couple of things about combat. See how there was those red target zones that came up? You do not want to get hit by those. Notice that even though I'm not using my skills and I'm just tanking a whole bunch of hits, I was never really in much danger of dying from those 2 enemies. Like, you have to really kind of try to die from basic attacks. But what will kill you are the red zones. So I'm not going to move this time. I got hit for large damage and knocked back. Not every enemy has these, but most of them do. There we go, again, another large chunk of damage. Generally speaking, you see those zones, you want to move out of the way. And while you heal pretty fast out of combat, do keep an eye on that and don't rush forward too fast. Now, you don't have to, strictly speaking, kill every enemy, but chests won't open if you leave too many enemies alive behind you. Now, this matters more for the random dungeons that you find in the field, and we'll take a look at those here in a moment. But still, it is something to keep in mind. Yes, you can try to speedrun and just literally run past everyone, but that can cause you to miss out on loot at the end of the chest, at the end of the dungeon. Plus, you know, it's good experience. Alright, well, I'm going to work my way through this dungeon, and I'll meet you up at the end. Okay, we're about halfway through the dungeon now, and we've got a pair of burning cross swords. What this does is it alerts you that there is a boss or mini-boss in the area. You can tell who it is because they will have a permanent highlight around them. So I can tell that this guy, pacing back and forth, is the mini-boss. Now, in the expeditions, there isn't too much of a reason to fight him other than XP gain. Like, if you're grinding for renown, might as well. As far as like getting items goes, not much points in the expeditions. In the random field dungeons, these mini bosses will usually be guarding a chest, which makes it a little bit more worthwhile to take him out. I'm still going to take this guy out. He's also going to provide me some good talking points. So notice that I am applying debuffs to him and buffs to myself as well. This one thing you just have to keep an eye on is what buffs do you have on you, what debuffs do you have on you, what are you applying to the enemies, what are they applying to you, so on and so forth. It can get quite intricate in terms of stacking things and also removing them. I might make a more detailed video in the future, but it's just worth knowing what kind of buffs and debuffs that your skills have associated with them and what the enemies can do. Well, we're about halfway done, so let's keep going. Okay, and here we are at the end of the level. Again, I've got another burning cross swords, letting me know that I'm approaching the boss. Now, a lot of the bosses will have minions roaming around. The aggro range of the bosses are usually pretty small. Like, you have to walk up pretty close to trigger them. And so I would generally consider it a good idea, or applicable, to deal with the various little critters first, because you really don't need to be dancing around minions while you're trying to kill a boss. And that guy should go down fast enough, so I'm not too worried about him. Now, for bosses, you definitely need to pay attention to their circles. I will do my best to narrate the fight, but yeah, I don't want to die. Now, dying isn't too much of a hassle. And actually, now that I've said that, let me demonstrate what happens when you die. I'm not going to try too hard in this fight. Also, it'll give me some chance to narrate. So as you can see, even the boss's basic attack really doesn't do very much to me. And there we go. There's a charge up, and boom! That hit me hard. Now, this is a fairly low tier dungeon. Tier 3 Expedition isn't very hard. And I might not actually die just trying to do basic attacks. I seem to be winning this fight. Oh dear. But in harder dungeons, yeah, this tactic of face-taking the boss will get you killed. Like, oh yeah, there you go. He did some good damage to me there. But I'm still winning this fight. Again, I want to stress, most bosses are not that easy. You will not win with just standing and face-tanking everything. And for some reason, I got 2 suits of level 2 armor as a drop. Okay. And there's my reward, 1,000 silver. Hit the portal to get out of there. And there's my royal seal for the first time doing this. And there we go. I now have almost 3,000 silver. So I can buy some more stuff. If I come over here and check the destiny board, I can see... Let's see, where was I? I was using sword and board. So you can see I've got some more XP in shield fighter. Got some XP in sword fighter. Or actually, no, I didn't. Never mind, take that back. It's like I'm looking at that and it's like, hold on, that's too low. I take it back. Okay, Editor Grasscat here. I got massively confused right here because I didn't notice that the expedition only had tier 2 enemies, except for the rats, for whatever reason, were tier 3. So I got a little bit of experience from them, but nowhere near the amount of experience I was expecting to get for the weapons. But you only get the experience for this next tier of weapons if you're fighting tier 3 or higher enemies. So let's just skip to the second expedition run where I figure this out. Notice the tier level of the enemies. Tier 2. Oddly enough, the 3 rats that you fight right at the beginning of this dungeon are tier 3 rats, but everybody else in here are tier 2 enemies. And if you look at the requirements for earning XP on Sword Fighter, kill creatures of tier 3 plus with Novice Broadsword. So that's where my confusion came in. I forgot that the tier 3 expedition is primarily staffed with tier 2 enemies, which doesn't make any sense to me, but it is what it is. And since I've ran back into the dungeon, just sort of to illustrate that, no, you don't have to kill everything. Well, I'm going to kill the tier 3 rats because they actually give me renown. I'm just going to run past everybody. Okay, minor correction. You can't run past everybody. You do have to complete the little quest thing down here, so I do have to go back and find 5 fire starters to kill, so I'll be right back. There we go. Quest complete. I got the silver. And I can just leave the dungeon from right here. I don't actually have to go all the way back. So a few more shenanigans than I would have preferred to have had in the tutorial video. But there we go. That's dungeoneering and combat in a nutshell. Now I can use my gains to correct a couple of purchasing mistakes that I made. So I'm going to come back over here. And you know what? I think I'll just simply switch out for the war gloves. Oh, wait, that's on. I don't have any sell. There we go. And tier 3 good war gloves is going to cost me 3,000. Probably can't afford an outstanding. Yep, nope, can't afford an outstanding.
Stay honest.
Now, what are some other ways that you can do combat? Because that was admittedly a bit easy. Well, we can go out into the wide world and look for field enemies to take on. So scattered throughout the fields are enemies. Some of them are quite easy, like this little fellow over here. barely any challenge. But then some field enemies have a glowing pain around them. They are much harder. As long as you've got appropriate tiered gear for the area, you're probably going to be okay. Now notice I got quite a bit of XP. So it is definitely worthwhile to go around and kill field enemies. Another thing that you can keep an eye out for as you're exploring around the field are dungeons. And I'll chime back in once I actually find one. Okay, here we go. Took a bit longer than what I normally have to spend to find a dungeon, but here we go, a solo dungeon. That just disappeared on me. Probably somebody else had already entered it, and that's why it disappeared. Hold on, let me try to find another one. Okay, and so I've got two right next to each other. So these are solo dungeons. They are designed for, well, as the name suggests, for solo players. So I can come over here, enter it, and it will take me to a randomly generated dungeon. Now, there's a couple of differences between this and the expeditions. One, I don't get to see the map. Again, there's not really much possibility of getting lost. It's pretty much the same layout as the linear path. Two, there's no objectives, but there's going to be at least one mini-boss and the end boss, and if I don't kill enough people, I can't open the chests. So, since you don't know exactly how many you have to kill, it is worth going after everything. It's also worth noting that these are tier 3 enemies. So I will actually be gaining experience for my gear fighting these things. Alright, pretty much it is the same as the expeditions in terms of combat and such, so I'll check back in when I find the midway boss. Okay, so here I have the midway boss. Again, I can tell by the circle around him, and there's a chest. I can't open that unless I take him out. And he's got friends that I want to try to eliminate first. Oh yeah, and there are environmental hazards. Watch out for exploding barrels.
Let's open a can of pass. Knockout.
And you can see how much tougher the enemies are. Like that mid-term boss, he did a pretty good job of beating me up. And we got a beginner's tome of insight, so that's 1,000 combat fame. I'll just go ahead and take that. Thank you very much, game. And well, I'll check back in when I reach the boss. Alright, and we're at the final boss now. Again, I can tell because of the ring and the spikes on the ring, plus there was the flaming cross swords earlier. Now, like before, I do want to try to take out some of these ads because I really do not want to have to deal with ads while trying to fight the boss. It's not too hard taking them out. Oh, wood chopper. I hate this guy. So, the bosses get progressively harder. So I don't want you to walk away from this tutorial video thinking, gosh darn, this combat's easy. Yeah, no, it gets mechanically more complex as you go up in levels. You will notice there's going to be an order of magnitude difference between this boss fight and the boss fight on the expedition. So let's just see how this goes.
Oh, yeah.
still won, but as you can tell by the utter silence, I was quite focused on making sure that I didn't die. Again, death isn't really that much of an inconvenience. You take a percentage hit to all of your equipment's durability and get sent back to the last respawn point. But I really don't like dying. And now that I've cleared everything, I can open up the chest. And I get, 3 bags of silver. Ooh, and a tier 3 bag. That's nice. I don't have a bag yet. Thank you. That'll increase my weight capacity quite nicely. And there we go. We're done. We can click and leave the button. And that is the basic core of the PvE content cycle, at least as far as combat is concerned. You either do expeditions, or you can wander around the world and try to find things to fight. Oh, there's another dungeon right there. Now, in terms of time sync, I don't know how long the final video is going to be, because I'm going to be cutting things out and such, but looking at the raw recording time, I've been playing for about 55 minutes. I've done 2 expeditions, 1 solo dungeon, some shopping, and took a bit longer than usual to find the solo dungeons. There is one last PvE content that I want to at least mention, but I'm not going to try to do anything about it because I really can't. On every level, there's going to be a dungeon labeled on the map itself, in this case, the Heretic Cellar Network. This area is group content. Yes, it is technically possible for you to kill individual mobs, but their health regen is so insane that unless you drastically out-gear and out-damage them, you really can't kill these group content mobs over here. You really do need a party to be able to kill stuff here, so there's not much point in going near these dungeons unless you're in a group. Plenty of solo dungeons to be found just wandering around the countryside. And with that, that is all I have to say on the basics of combat. If you liked this video and got some value out of it, thumbs up would be appreciated. And if my bumbling antics were too much for you to bear, well, the thumbs down button is right next to it. I'll talk to you next time. Wait, hold on, I lied. Quick postscript. Just in that one dungeon and wandering around the field, killing things at random, looking for a dungeon, I got enough experience to almost level up a War Gorilla fighter. So I got almost 24,000 experience just doing the one dungeon and finding the one dungeon. This is why we say don't burn learning points on fighting stuff, because it levels up way faster than everything else. Okay, bye for real this time.